Well, this has had a chance to dry up now, so this is what we've got. And let's just pull her apart and see what we've come up with here. So there's our first half of, or our first part of this casting. Now the next thing is we'll move this tailstock out of the way so we can go back in and glue that in position, just like that. So we've got our paper backing, so in theory we can separate this later on down the road. So we're going to glue this in position first, and then the next thing will be to add our two supports, and those are going to be a form support. I'm just going to take some thicker material, whether it's plywood or solid wood, whatever I've got for scrap back there, and we'll go ahead and cut our first one to match this contour and come out here to support here, and the same way here on this end. And then we'll have to add our little boss on the end to put our adjustment slider on there. So anyway, glue this on, and then these next two pieces, and that'll take care of that. So these are the ones we can leave the headstock end in place, and we just need to move this tailstock out of the way, just so we've got clearance down here for the baseboard. So we get that out of the way. We can put this back in position up here, just like that. And then we're going to glue that just like that. So once they're glued up, it'll be there as long as we've got 90 degrees to this, we're where we need to be. Let's put one clamp on for now. Looks good. There we go. Well, I think I'll be happy with that. If we put it in the right direction. That will set on there just like that. Let that cure, and then we'll put our last pieces on there. Well, we've got our back piece glued up here. It's going to dry for just a little bit more before we start putting the rest of it together. This is our tailstock end. We've got it already fitted up into position. So I'm going to do this just a little bit different. Where I had clearance issues setting the other one up, we don't have those issues here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to actually glue the base to the side first. We've got it set at 90 degrees and everything. Once that sets up for a few minutes, why then we'll separate these and go ahead and affix those two in position. So it just makes it a little bit easier, I think, to assemble them that way. So that's what we'll do. So this is basically just a repeat of the first one we did. So we'll get it glued up and then let it set for a few minutes, and then we can go ahead with our braces. And I'm just going to freehand form those the way we fitted these pieces right here. So that will set right there is where it's going to go. And I've already checked square on this, so I know it sets in the proper position. We'll go ahead and clamp it down. Another advantage to doing it this way is I'll go ahead and I'll contour the base around the back portion, and that way that'll all be pretty well shaped. And then when we glue the upper piece on, why that'll be done on the headstock end of it. Why there's a little more hand sanding to do there when we get that far. There we go. Looks pretty good right there. I'm going to grab a couple more of these small quick grip clamps rather than use the bigger ones for model making, why these seem to be a little bit easier to handle here. We'll let that sit for a few minutes, then we'll glue our back portion in and onto our inside braces. Looks pretty good there. check and make sure we're aligned that way. Let's do a rough check that way. We'll try and use up what we've got here. There we go. Next piece. Okay, we'll let that set and cure. That's working on our tailstock. We added some clear packing tape here so we can separate this section when we get that far. When we want to mount this on a match plate, or probably just to do it in two pieces. So we've cut us a couple little pieces to go in here. One of them will sit in here like this for this support. The other one will sit up here like that for the beginning of this support. We'll have to add blocking back in here and contour that around, and then it's basically just fill this, sand it smooth, and get it where we want it. Get our contours pretty close, get it in position, because this will all be supported with filler when we get that far. Well, come on. There we go. I'll support that piece. Now, I'm sure true pattern makers are going to cringe at my methods here, but for in my little podunk home shop, for the amount that these pieces will actually be utilized, as many of these as I'll cast, this will work just fine for me here. Guess we better get some more activator. Seems like that one's just about empty. So we'll let that set, cure up for a while, probably till after lunch. Then we'll go back. We've got to contour this down. I should have taken this down just a little bit more when I still had it before I put it in place. This one's just about right. And we'll put blocking back in here. I'll probably go ahead and do that now. And it's beginning to look pretty good. Some semblance of a pattern. This afternoon that'll be dry. I can get back to working on it, and won't be long we'll have patterns. This is what our headstock end looks like at this point in time. We're ready to sand out the coat of Bondo, and we'll shape it a little bit more through our boss area here on this end where this has to go. And we've made this so that we can at some point separate it into a split mold. I probably should have went ahead and started it as a split mold right off the bat, but we'll go ahead and finish out what we've got. I did change the position of this boss for a split cotter in there. It was a little bit too far back the way the radius is laid out and everything. I'm going to try and give it enough draft so I don't have to cast this with a core. Good and bad to that. Core would be more consistent, probably be easier to cast. This may be a little bit of a problem, and we may go to a core at some point in time. But anyway, we've got the first coat of body filler on here. Actually, we've got a couple of coats of body filler on here, so we'll let this cure up real good, probably overnight, and then tomorrow we'll sand it out. This one, for our tailstock end, we've got it out of the jig, got the split cotter boss installed on it. I just super glued it in place, and we'll go ahead, fit up our supports for this, get it worked out. But these patterns are coming along quite nicely. I'm very happy with those, so we'll get them finished up. Anyway, hopefully you found this a little bit interesting. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button if you're so inclined. And if you like these videos, give me a thumbs up on them. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. And any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.